This is the Unstoppable Amazon Academy podcast,
where we bring you the business advice, skills, and e-commerce news you need to grow a profitable, sustainable business.
This is the Unstoppable Amazon Academy show where we help you build a profitable and sustainable business in e-commerce. And today what we're going to be talking about is something that I get asked multiple times every year, and that is, should I attend the ASD show in Las Vegas? Now, some of you just said, well, what is ASD? ASD, and they've changed the meaning of the acronym. At one point, it was All Source Direct. I think that's still what it is, but it's a trade show in Vegas. And the trade show it's a general trade show. It's a very large one. It takes up the entire convention center. And they have everything from hardware to grocery to apparel. There's a lot of different categories. And then sometimes during ASD, there's other things that are happening at the same time. Other shows, maybe Market Week, other things that are happening where you could buy other things in Vegas. Vegas is a great place to start with trade shows to begin with. Now, ASD is a show that I've been going to for about 7 years now, and we've always had really good luck finding good inventory that we could buy, things that were good quality inventory, things that turned well. But ASD is a lot of walking. It can be a lot of work. And the good and bad part is that there's a lot of Amazon sellers there. So ASD is a great place to practice your conversations, get maybe your first wholesale show underneath you. It is a great place to learn because there's free education that's coordinated by the Internet Merchants Association. Same quality speakers, same quality presentations as the shows that you might spend $400 or $500 to attend. But these classes are free, and there's 3 days worth of classes that you can attend on a wide variety of subjects and different levels of learning that you can pick on. And then there's also some great networking. There's a lot of great parties. People are gathering together after meals, and you can meet up with a lot of sellers that maybe you've only met on Facebook. So ASD is a great show. Now, some of the things that you need to think about with ASD is, one, do we really have the time to do this? Do we have the capital to do this? And is this really the best use of our resources? So let's go through some of the considerations that we look at for every show, any trade show, whether or not it's a good trade show to attend. And then we're going to go through some specific things for ASD, things that you probably would want to know about if you are going to attend this trade show in Vegas. It happens twice a year, one right at the cusp of July and August. So this one starts July 29th, and then there's one in March. The one in March has more online sellers that attend to it. It's a more popular show because it's not 120 degrees in Las Vegas. But both shows are really good quality shows, and there's still a ton of sellers that attend both shows. Now, things that I look at before considering going to a trade show in general is how much are the travel expenses going to cost me? Because those travel expenses, you need to be able to pay those without cutting in your inventory capital. So if you can afford to do the travel, maybe through points, or you have some discretionary money set aside, and doing this is not going to mean that you don't have money to spend on inventory. That is one of the most important things. The other thing is you need to think about, you're going to be spending this time away from your business. So in order to plan for that, you need to either buy more and ship more in right before you leave, or you're going to have a cash slump 3 to 4 weeks after the show. The show, you're going to be fine. It's going to be after that, the cycling catches up to that week that you weren't sending items in. That's where it's going to hit you. So can you kind of survive that from a cash flow perspective? And then how much would you need to buy in order to recoup your investment? So when you're looking at, the total travel cost, you'd say, okay, well, if I'm looking for about this ROI on wholesale items, how much would I need to spend on initial orders there at the show in order to break even? So any future orders I place with these wholesale vendors are basically gravy. I'm getting something on top of that. Or, if you're just coming for the education and networking, what are the questions that I really need answered? And if I get those questions answered, will I get a good return on investment on those items? Now, it's not like you're going to come away from a conversation and be like, oh, that conversation was worth $3,472.28. But more along the lines of, if right now I'm paying $120 every time, I get this wholesale shipment because they're charging me a liftgate fee, I need to figure out a way to not pay a liftgate fee, but there's no way we can afford a forklift, and I don't have a place for a forklift. So I need other options. And so I'm going to go there trying to get that, knowing that, maybe it only cost me $1,000 to attend a show. So the show, because it's maybe I live in Vegas or I live really close to Vegas, so I'm not going to have to fly. That would be worthwhile for me to go. Just finding the answer to that question could save me a ton of money over the course of the next year. That's some of the things that you want to think about. And then if you are going to be buying at the show, now you know how much capital that you need to spend in order to break even. Do you have that amount of money to spend on inventory and still have some money to keep restocking the things that are already selling well? We're going to talk about this many times, but if you have replenishable items that you can restock on a regular basis, that's always where your first money should go. Things that are already selling consistently at a good profit margin. Those should always get the first attention. And then as you find more and more items that have better margins, you're going to kind of get jaded and you're going to push those items that have lower ROIs down in the order of what you're ordering. And you always want to make sure you have more available to order than you really have capital for. That's really kind of one of the goals in wholesale, is to make sure you have going new lead sources where you're constantly upping your game as far as return on investment, being able to turn the items quickly. So you want to make sure that if you buy these items, are you still going to be able to have enough money to buy your replens and test these new items? Now, those are some of the things that I look at for all shows. The other things for all shows is you want to think about how many exhibitors they have. I'm not going to travel to a show that has less than 300 exhibitors. It's just not worth it to me because, there's going to be a lot of vendors that are going to be repeated from show to show. However, if this was my first show and, my aunt lives near this, particular show and so I can stay there for free, those are all considerations as well. But don't travel for 12 hours to get to a show that has 50 vendors. There's a likelihood that a lot of them are not going to be items that are going to sell well on FBA, especially if it's a really small show. Some of them might be companies that are really just too small for Amazon, or items that, if they're refrigerated or, they don't have a good shelf life. So you want to think about the number of exhibitors as you're picking a show as well. If you're in our academy, we have a list a little bit over 200 shows, I would say. And we've kind of, looked at, so you can see their website, you can get an idea of, the number of exhibitors that they have, the flavor of the show. If you're only going to attend one trade show throughout the year, I'd recommend that you pick a niche that you already know something about. So if you already fish, go to a sports and outdoor show. If you are a big CrossFit, go to, I guess that would probably be sports and outdoors too. But, if you are obsessed with your pet schnauzer, then maybe you go to Super Zoo and you look at some pet products. But if you can only go to one show, I would pick a niche and go to a niche focused show, because you're going to find more things that are along the fringes. And, you're going to have a better chance of finding something in that. And so I find that the smaller shows, like the mid-sized shows that are along a certain niche, I make better buys at. It's easier for me to make those buys. So I like those shows for that. But for ASD, what I love is we've always been able to find good inventory. There's never been a year where I'm like, wow, there's nothing here. But the show has changed significantly over the last 7 years, but there's still a lot of really good items there. And the nice thing is it's such a big show that you can practice as much as you like. Nobody's going to remember you if you mess up, so you could still follow up with that vendor later. And there's no point where you can mess this show up. You can just keep trying. And so what we recommend is people go out there and they try to get as many price lists, they try to get as many yeses as they can. Then they decide if they want to buy the product. But you kind of focus on building out exactly what you're going to say and how you're going to approach these vendors. And you do that consistently at ASD so that the next show you go to, it's easy. You're not scared. You're not nervous. You've done this before. So you have that confidence that you need to really approach those vendors like the serious buyer that you are. So ASD is also really great for that. You could never approach every vendor. I mean, there's just way too many. The other thing about ASD is we have these education sessions that are there. They're upstairs, right above where the Starbucks is, kind of over by the Amex Lounge, just in between the north and the central halls. And, we have classes on everything from, Amazon 101, Wholesale 101, things on brand management consulting, SEO, social media, private label, sponsored products. So you can get a lot of education in between you being on the floor and going to these educational sessions. And the sessions are about 45 minutes long. We have an hour and little time to switch over the rooms. And the speakers are usually pretty good about making themselves available for questions afterwards. So it can be a great place to get some base knowledge if you're new to the space or if you're new to wholesale. It kind of adds, like, even if I wasn't able to get a good buy here, I'd be able to have some good education, and that would pay for part of the trip, make some of the trip worthwhile. So it takes a little pressure off your first show to actually make those purchases. Because you don't want to feel rushed where you're like, well, I have to make a purchase, otherwise I'm going to feel like this was a waste of money. So going to a show that has this education, that has, the opportunity to buy products, and also has some really great networking opportunities, keeps you from being pressured into making some bad buying decisions. There's always parties pretty much every night, or people will be gathering. And, sometimes you just have to be the awkward kid that says, hey, who's going to dinner tonight? I was looking for a place to go. There are so many people that are there that are looking to meet other people. We're going to be having an event at the Bellagio as part of the Internet Merchants Association. And so there's going to be so many places to meet and actually talk to some of these people that you've only seen on Facebook. Now, August is less attended by many people as the March show, but it still has a really good showing. There's thousands of people there. And there's a lot of really great Amazon sellers there for you to talk to. So we love ASD. It's a great place to meet. It's a great place to practice. And it's a great show to make some good buys off of. Some things to know about ASD is there's a big liquidation section. We don't recommend that. It's just not a good place for Amazon sellers these days. But there are some other really good quality products that are available in some of the more themed areas that you can go into. Stay away from all of the marijuana and the C-store stuff. And you can look at their exhibitor map online and get an idea of what is where. And if you wanted to come to Vegas a day early, we are doing a one-day training, and it is exactly going through how to approach these vendors. So how do you bring up these conversations? What do you do when they say no? How can you turn that no into a yes or into a maybe? And what are some of the things that you need to consider before you approach that person? So we spend a whole day basically working on how are you going to talk to these vendors? How do you choose who to approach? And then there's a trade show floor walk where you can walk the floor on Sunday or Monday with us. We'll do it in groups of 8. So if that's something you're interested in, we're still taking registrations for that. You can go to bestfromthenest.com/ASD live in order to get more information on that. We are really excited. It's the first time that Eddie Levine and I are both going to be doing something together in a live event that's separate from a main conference. And so you'll get 2 really different perspectives, but as different as our buying criteria are, the pieces that go underneath that buying criteria are pretty much exactly the same. So it gives you an idea that no matter what your risk tolerance is, no matter how you want to build your business, there are ways to do it in an ethical way that provide partnership to businesses. And the way that we do it really makes it so it significantly reduces the number of intellectual property claims, any potentials for suspension, because we do it the right way and we help build up other brands. And so by doing that, we kind of become partners. And so even if they decide to not sell to as many Amazon sellers, we're pretty much still on that list. We get exclusives offered to us all the time just because we do a good job in the way that we sell. So if you're thinking about ASD, we'd love to see you there. You're welcome to come to the free networking events. Make sure you find out as much as you can about ASD. Make sure you get that hotel booked because hotels can get expensive in Las Vegas. So what we usually do is we will book the hotel, and then the week before we book a refundable rate, and then the week before we look and see if the prices have gone down, and if so, we rebook the room. And then the other thing that you could do is you could get an Airbnb and split it with several people. There's a lot of really good Airbnbs that are out in the Vegas area. I know that Jason T. Smith usually has a get-together at Frankie's on Tuesday nights. So there's a lot of really great opportunities to hang out. I'd love to get to know you, get to say hi, and we'll have some free food and drinks that'll be available at the Bellagio on Monday night. And we're really looking forward to this event. This will be the, I think, 3rd or 4th time that we've done this one-day event. And every time people have said that it was really valuable and really helped them shorten the learning curve on that wholesale side and help them get into that wholesale buying a lot faster. So it's something that we know works. We feel confident in saying that it's a good deal and it's worth your time. It will be worth the time investment. But that is it when it comes to trade shows. You want to make sure you're not just looking at the first shiny object, but we want to look at, is this going to get me closer to my goals? Is now the right time? Can I afford this time away? And do I have the capital to really make good investments at this show? This has been another episode of the Unstoppable Amazon Academy, where we help you build profitable and sustainable businesses. Have a prosperous week.
Are you looking to grow your business?
Join our Unstoppable Amazon Academy with hundreds of video and step-by-step tutorials to walk you through the skills you need to take your business to the next level. Find out more at bestfromthenest.com/academy.
Use the promo code podcast to get a 14-day trial.